Welcome to Talks with Tawanda, where real stories meet real healing. I'm your host, Coach Tawanda, and this space is all about truth, transformation, and the tools to grow through what you go through. Get ready to reflect, heal, and rise. Love yourself before wanting to be loved by someone else. Learn to take the time to embrace your own mind, wanting and needing yourself more than the feeling of needing to find someone else. Looking at you from inside and out, taking the time to find out who you're all about. Sitting there feeling bad for yourself, looking for someone else to care, thinking that it will replace you loving yourself, not taking the pleasure and the beauty that could be there. Just because one didn't love you did not mean you had to stop loving yourself. Respect is something earned, not given. So when you feel yourself losing respect, take a step back and see how you're living. Not loving only the reflection you see, but taking the time to love the inner beauty that you treat as a beast. Sometimes things are easier said, but to make them easier done is by the thoughts in your head, allowing yourself to believe the truth instead of lies that one has spread. Why would one stop loving themselves? Could it be from the pain caused by someone else? Could the lies and the hurt penetrate so deep? Is it from the misunderstanding that we learn in the street, allowing our esteems to be beat down? Watching our souls escape as the waterfall carrying our heavy hearts to drown, and the wells in our eyes filled with tears we try to hide, hoping that this moment we'll realize that we must love ourselves before wanting to be loved by someone else. As time grew and healing became the path that I had to choose, I also had to heal from this moment, from the moment where I put all the blame on my mother. At first, I didn't see her fear, I saw her anger, but existed was her fear. And as I grew and as I started healing and I started looking at the situation from a different perspective, I understood that a lot of the anger that she carried, a lot of the resentment that she carried, a lot of the, mistakes that was made was out of fear. She was afraid herself, young mother, feeling alone, feeling like she didn't have anybody. And of course, those feelings and those thoughts and her actions transferred over to me, which put me in a position of then feeling worthless or feeling like I didn't belong, feeling like it wasn't meant for me to be here. And throughout that time, several events happened in life. Throughout that time, I made some decisions based off the feelings that I had, based off the words that I heard, based off the situations that I was living in. It led me to the failed suicide. So at age 15 and a half, I had left my mother's house, and I didn't leave because I was one of those children that just wanted to be so rebellious and I just, thought I was grown and I left. I left because it was toxic. I left because it was hurtful. I didn't care to run the streets. I left my mother home because it was a way of escaping her abuse of me, to relieve her from mistreating me because of her own abuse, pouring from her own pain. Hurt people, they say, and it's true. And where sometimes we think we're doing our best to love or help, if we don't first help ourselves or understand ourselves, how could we be a whole lot of help for someone else pouring from an empty cup? Take the pain away, I scream. This is too much for me, wanting not to breathe, not to be seen, not even caring to dream because the dreams I thought I had, they seemed to fade away. At least those was the thoughts and the feelings that I had. I remember coming up with this plan to end it all. There would be no more me, no more pain, no more deceit. As I sat in my studio apartment at the age of 16, I thought to myself, this was it. So the attempt began. I recall grabbing a bottle of pain pills. They were prescription that a friend of mine had left over at my place. Mind you, 16 years old, I'm now in a place of my own. I drew me some bath water and I sat in the tub and I decided in that moment that I didn't matter. I decided in that moment that I didn't want to be here. I decided in that moment, I was lonely. I was afraid. There were so many different emotions. I was still young and I still felt like I needed more. I needed more training. I needed more understanding. But here I was left to figure it out and I didn't know if I was gonna be able to do it. And I remember sitting and I took these pills and there was a bottle of pain pills. It was 250 pills in this bottle. And I can't remember the name of the pills, but I remember taking and I sat in that water and I swallowed those pills. I swallowed the whole bottle. I had seen it on TV many times that, taking bottles of pills was causing suicide and things of that nature. And I felt that was the easiest way for me to go ahead and end all of this. I didn't have to deal with any of it anymore. And so I remember sitting there and the water got cold like 2 times. I had to rewarm it up by adding a little warm water into it. And as I sat there, because again, I've seen on TV about overdose, and I knew after I had swallowed those pills, I just knew I was going to be gone, but nothing happened. Why am I still here? I asked myself. So after sitting for a certain amount of time, a lengthy time in the tub, I pulled myself from the tub and I assured myself that if I just go lay down, I knew that I wouldn't get up. So I went and I got myself dressed, just threw something on, and in the bed I laid and I laid there. I remember dozing off to sleep. Boom, boom, boom. Dang, it was this noise I heard. I jumped up because the noise was so loud. It seemed as if it was right at my window or it was just something came in. It was crazy. And then my bed was right by the window. I raised up and I pulled back the curtains. There was nothing there. I remember it was so loud it woke me in shock. I remember looking out the door, I saw nothing. There was nothing to resemble or even give me a clue of what the noise could have been. And I remember shutting the door and I sat on the side of the bed and I put my head down for a minute and I pinched my arm. This is real life. I pinched my arm because here it is. Why am I up? Why am I still seeing the same things that I saw when I lay down to go to sleep? I mean, why am I still here? I remember a time before, maybe a couple of years back, I had an incident where I remember saying that I wasn't going to pray to God no more. I had been going to church and, things of that nature. And I talked to him often, but it was just so much going on and I was hurt. I wasn't understanding. I said, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. But I remember in this moment, I looked at the time that sat across the room and I realized that I only been laying there for like 30 minutes. What? What was this about? As I say, I pinched myself wondering if it was true. Am I still here? When I felt the pinch, I dropped to my knees and I asked God, I said, why? Why do you have me here? What do you want from me? I don't know if I heard words after that. I don't know what happened and what was said, but I remember saying, God, please forgive me. I cried out to him in this moment, something I had not done in a couple of years before time. And I say to God, why? Why? Just why didn't you just let me go? There was a sense of being needed that rested over me. Needed for what? What do you want from me? Why did you not let me die? Those was the questions I asked. Why did you not even let me get sick? What are you doing? So many questions have started pouring out, but none of them seemed to be answered. The sound of wait and see rained in my ears. Still not understanding, I cried out, more soaking my shirt with my tears, not knowing what to do. So then I just sat. As years passed by, I would often find myself asking God what happened to those pills. Um, it didn't pan out the way that I thought it was. It was as if God has cupped his hand at my throat and caught every last one of them. I tell you, 250 pills, I never got sick. I never threw up. I nothing happened. That 30 minutes of resting and that moment of getting up and realizing that, okay, something is going on here that I can't explain. No visit to the hospital, no headache, no trace of what happened to happen, and I know I was there. I know what I did. I know what I planned. God was telling me that I did not need anyone as I thought I did. He was showing me that if I just trust him, that he would take care of me. I was pressed with these feelings of needing to understand that I was about to be taken through something. But if I just held on, I did not have to walk it. I did not have to walk this walk alone. But God, I do feel alone. Yes, only because you have chosen to see me as the world and not through the spirit. And that's because you have gotten upset with me. And I have allowed the enemy to deceive you, but I am here. It is my purpose for you, not your purpose for yourself. But I am afraid because look how my relationships with my mother and my father is. Look at the situations I found myself in. Sometimes we go through life and we have experiences, we have moments, and one or two things can happen. It can either weaken us or it can strengthen us. And there's even moments that you feel weakened but strengthened at the same time because in this moment, sitting there at 16 years old, not feeling like I had anybody, not feeling like, I belonged in this space. And that's just real life. I am so grateful that whatever happened that day happened the way that it did. I am so grateful and filled with gratitude and forever thankful that God chose me. I just want to say, like, no matter what it looks like, it does matter what it feels like, but it don't matter what it feels like because you can't do nothing about those moments if it happened to happen, but you can do something about how you receive it. I am so grateful to God. Even for this opportunity, this moment right here to just be able to speak. And I pray that the ears that hear my voices is able to relate and receive. It was a failed suicide, but it was so successful. Just imagine at 16 years old, because I felt life was so heavy. Just imagine at 16 years old, I thought I was just going to throw it all away. Left to make choices that I didn't feel I knew how to make. And that was the best choice I can come up with. But God said, no, I got you. And here it is. I have looked at life and I've looked back and many times I just chuckle and I don't feel the pain that I once felt and I have forgiveness in my heart and I feel free and I'm accepting it. And I'm allowed to be here. I'm allowed to tell my story. I'm allowed to share with what existing to living in God's grace really looked like. I am grateful. And I pray that you see the importance of your life as well. That you understand that the things that you have went through are not just for you, because I stayed in the race, because I endured. I have had the opportunity to be able to share and help the lives of so many others. I am grateful. I am grateful that my story was able to be used, that my pain was able to be healed, that my obstacles was able to be overcome. And if it happened for me, guess what? I am so certain, sweet baby, that it's going to happen for you. Thank you for tuning in to Talks with Tawanda. If today's episode hit home, know this, you're not alone. And you don't have to stay stuck. I created from stuck to unstoppable course just for someone like you. Strong but tired, gifted but overlooked, ready for more but not sure how to move forward. This course is your step-by-step guide to clarity, healing, confidence, and action. So if you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and start walking in purpose, I mean real movement, not just motivation, then head on over to the link in the description and enroll today. Your next chapter doesn't have to wait. It starts the moment you decide you're worthy of it. I'll see you inside the course. And until next time, be gentle with yourself, affirm yourself, and take one bold step towards your unstoppable future.